Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com with some more lessons in programming in Clojure. So what I want to do here is on the last episode we talked about what a vector is, which is kind of like an array in other programming languages. But there are four main sort of buckets, ways to bucket data. The first one is the vector, which we already talked about, so that's the first one over here. Okay, so basically you would just create the vector. So in this case I defined my variable, my vector, and assign my vector to it, which is 1, 2, and 3. Okay, don't need to put commas, just 1, 2, and 3 is fine. You could put commas because Clojure treats commas as white space, but it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, and then I printed my vector. So you can see that right here. Okay, so you know it's a vector because it has the squirrely brackets, the square brackets. Now, second one is a list. Now, the big difference between a list and a vector both have an ordered list of items. The big difference between a list and a vector is that generally when you're adding and removing stuff from a vector, you're doing it from the front, the back. So basically, if I were to pop something from the array, it's the 3 that's going to be taken out. And if I add something, it's going to be added behind the 3. So let's say I added 4, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. In a list, it's the other way around. You add and subtract from the beginning of the list. Okay. So in that case, if I added 4 to this list, it'd become 4, 1, 2, 3. And if I took something out of the list, it would take out 1, so it'd be 2 and 3 left. Using depending on the functions that I'm using, but that's sort of the logic of it. Okay, so the list, and really what it comes down to, the underlying sort of data structure, if you take a look at its behavior, is that the vector is an array. You have this array of sequential memory, and the list, the 1, 2, 3, is a linked list, which is why you have to start from the head of the list. You always have to start from the front and work your way down the list, because each item tells you where the next item is in your memory. Then there is a set. Now, what makes a set special is you cannot have duplicates. So if you wanted to make sure that there's no duplicates in a set of information, trying to put it into a set would help you check, hey, do I have no uniques? Because if you did, you would have an error until you have no uniques. So a set is a collection of information with no duplicates. Okay, and then how do you do that? In this case, you have to do a hash symbol, curly brackets to define a set, and then you can just, again, I just defined it to the variable players, and again, when you print it, you can tell it's a set because of the way it prints on the screen, which the hashtag in curly braces. Then a map are our key value pairs. So this is similar to a dictionary in Python or a map in Go, okay, or kind of like an object in JavaScript. And it's basically here, def scores, I have key Fred, which matches the value 1400, key Bob, and when you call the values here, you have to call them by calling the specific keys. So I have to say, if I wanted Fred's score specifically, I'd have to call, say, hey, give me from scores Fred, and it would give me back 1400. Okay, but that's essentially here. I highly recommend. There's a lot to it, and again, this whole Clojure thing is a little bit difficult because it is very different than other languages. Trying to fight against a lot of my habits of inserting assignment operators and stuff like that. Like I really want to just throw in equals here. Does my vector equals this thing here? But there are different functions where you can use the conjoin stuff. But again, all of this is immutable. So any function you use to kind of add or subtract doesn't change the original. So if I store this in a variable, there's something I can do that'll change it because everything in Clojure is immutable. It's functional programming. So in that case, what I want to do is store the result in a new variable, or do whatever I need to do with the changed variable right away. So that's one of the things that kind of, one of those things you have to get used to. So it's like you can do functional programming in a language like Go or JavaScript, and you just do it as your style, but you have room to not do it. In a language like Clojure, you kind of have to. There really isn't an option. Everything is immutable automatically, and so you just have to figure out, okay, my function gives me this new data. I need to put this new data somewhere or do something with it right now. It is definitely sort of a difference in paradigm, a different way of thinking about problem solving. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day and enjoy.